श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद Hare Krishna. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, first canto, chapter 8, verse 25. A very celebrated verse that has been worshipped since time immemorial by great souls. विपदः संतुता शाश्वत। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 विपदः संतुता शाश्वत।
विपदः संतुता शाश्वत।
तत्र तत्र जगद्गुरो।
तत्र तत्र जगद्गुरो।
भवतो दर्शनं यत् स्यात्।
भवतो दर्शनं यत् स्यात्।
अपुनर्भवदर्शनम्।
अपुनर्भवदर्शनम्।
विपदः संतुता शाश्वत।
विपदः संतुता शाश्वत।
तत्र तत्र जगद्गुरो।
Tatra tatra jagadguru.
Bhavato darshanam yatsayat.
Bhavato darshanam yatsyat.
Apunarbhava darshanam.
Apunarbhava darshanam.
Vipadaha santu tasasva.
Vipadaha santu tasasva.
Tatra tatra jagadguru.
Tatra tatra jagadguru.
Bhavato darshanam yatsayat.
Bhavato darshanam yatsyat.
Apunarbhava darshanam.
Apunarbhava darshanam. Vipadaha santu tasasva.
Vipadaha santu tasasva.
Tatra tatra jagadguru.
Tatra tatra jagadguru.
Bhavato darshanam yatsyat.
Bhavato darshanam yatsayat.
Apunarbhava darshanam.
Apunarbhava darshanam. Vipadaha,
Vipadaha,
calamities.
calamities.
Santu,
Santu,
let there
let
be.
there be.
Ta,
Ta,
all.
all.
Saswat,
Shashvat,
again and again.
again and again.
Tatra,
Tatra,
there.
there.
Tatra,
Tatra,
and there.
and there.
Jagadguru,
Jagadguru,
O Lord of the
O
universe.
Lord of the universe.
Bhavata,
Bhavataha,
your
your
darshana,
darshan,
meeting.
meeting,
Yet,
yet
that which
that which
sayat
syat
is
is
apuna,
apuna,
not again.
not again.
Bhava darshana,
Bhava darshan,
seeing repetition of birth and death.
seeing repetition of birth and death.
Translation: I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Generally, the distressed, the needy, the intelligent, and the inquisitive, who have performed some pious activities, worship or begin to worship the Lord. Others, who are thriving on misdeeds only, regardless of status, cannot approach the Supreme due to being led by the illusory energy. Therefore, for a pious person, if there is some calamity, there is no other alternative than to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord means preparing for liberation from birth and death. Therefore, even though there are so-called calamities, they are welcome because they give us an opportunity to remember the Lord, which means liberation. One who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are accepted as the most suitable boat for crossing the ocean of desires, can achieve liberation as easily as one leaps over the holes made by the hoofs of a calf. Such persons are meant to reside in the abode of the Lord, and they have nothing to do with the place where there is danger in every step. This material world is certified by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamities. Less intelligent persons prepare plans to adjust to those calamities without knowing that the nature of this place is itself full of calamities. They have no information of the abode of the Lord, which is full of bliss and without trace of calamity. The duty of the same person, therefore, is to be undisturbed by worldly calamities, which are sure to happen in all circumstances. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization, because that is the mission of human life. The spirit soul is transcendental to all material calamities. Therefore, the so-called calamities are called false. A man may see a tiger swallowing him in a dream, and he may cry for this calamity. Actually, there is no tiger, and there is no suffering. It is simply a case of dreams. In the same way, all calamities of life are said to be dreams. If someone is lucky enough to get in contact with the Lord by devotional service, it is all gain. Contact with the Lord by any one of the 9 devotional services is always a step forward on the path going back to Godhead. Vipadaha santutāksha svar tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yetsaya tapunar bhavadarsanam. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Om Adhyantimirandasya Jnananjana Chalakaya Chakran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sargana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sargana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Garangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sukhe Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deve Satarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Giri Yatripātamaham Vande Shri Guru Dīnatāyanam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So this verse was spoken by the mother of the Pandavas, Kunti Devi, in glorification of Lord Sri Krishna, just as he was about to leave from their midst. This verse, Srila Prabhupada quoted often. He was very fond of this verse. This verse has been celebrated by great personalities, great devotees of Krishna since time immemorial. In this material world, everyone is eager to avoid suffering. Why is that so? Because suffering interrupts the living entity's experience of enjoyment. Every living entity, without exception, no matter what species, is looking for enjoyment. From the little ant to the mightiest, biggest of the animals, to the human beings who are highly involved, every living entity is looking for joy. And when there is a calamity, it brings suffering. And that interrupts this experience of enjoyment. So everyone without exception is looking for a way to avoid suffering. So this verse is very surprising then. That Mother Kunti is praying for the exact opposite. Let calamities come again and again. It is why great souls since time immemorial have worshipped this verse. Because Mother Kunti is asking for something that the whole world wants to avoid. When calamities come. We see in Krishna Leela, when Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill to protect the residents of Vrindavan from Indra's attack. For many generations, Indra had been offered worship because he brings rain. And without rain, the crops cannot grow. And if the crops cannot grow, the grass cannot grow, the cows cannot eat them, there is no milk for consumption. And there are no fruits and vegetables and cereal for human consumption. So rain is a very important ingredient for life, to sustain life. So for many generations, the residents of Vrindavan have been offering puja, worship, to Lord Indra. And then one day Krishna, he spoke to his father, Nanda Maharaj. He said, Baba, everything we need is provided by Govardhan Hill. Govardhan Hill provides fresh green grass for the cows to consume. And they consume that nourishing grass and they give us milk, and from milk we make so many preparations. Govardhan Hill gives us fresh water to drink. There are so many streams of water. So in this way, Govardhan is fulfilling all our needs. What need is there to worship Indra? We must offer our worship to Govardhan. Now Nanda Maharaj, Krishna's father, was the king of Vrindavan, but he was a very simple man. He was just a cowherd man. It didn't take much to convince Nanda Maharaj. And especially because it was coming from Krishna, his all-attractive son. So he was convinced by Krishna's arguments, and they made elaborate preparations and they worshipped Govardhan. Now for Indra, this was very difficult to tolerate. Because for one who is used to honor, one who is accustomed to receiving honor, dishonor is very painful. We read in the scriptures that for one who has been honored, dishonor is worse than death. So for Indra, this was a great insult after being worshipped by many generations of Brajvasis, the residents of Vrindavan, to now not receive any honor and worship. It is a great insult. So he decided, I must teach these residents a lesson. So he called upon the Samvartaka clouds the clouds that are used for the devastation of the planet. At the time of annihilation, some of the clouds are called upon. And these clouds are so massive. When it rains and we walk outside, we have drops of water landing on us. The Samvartaka clouds do not send drops. They send pillars, columns of water. And within seconds they can inundate this entire planet. So those were the clouds that were called upon, and Indra said, I will go with you. And then together they arrived at Vrindavan and started causing widespread destruction. There was floods everywhere. And in that helpless condition, the Brajvasis, they approached Krishna. And Shrimadbhagavatam gives a very beautiful description of this pastime. And Krishna, to protect all of the residents of Vrindavan, the gopas, the gopis, the cows, the calves, and all of the other residents, he lifted Govardhan hill. And they took shelter for many days under Govardhan hill. Was it 7 days, I think? So in this pastime, I was hearing a lecture by my spiritual master very recently, a lecture he gave many years ago. He said Indra's actions of bringing down calamity upon the residents of Vrindavan, it had the effect of bringing all the residents of Vrindavan under the shelter of Krishna. So when there's calamities in life, the natural inclination for a devotee is to take shelter of Krishna. So calamities are not really a bad thing. Anything that is favorable, Srila Rupa Goswami has explained that anything that is favorable for devotional service must be accepted. And anything that is unfavorable must be rejected. And what does favorable mean? Anything that causes us to remember Krishna, anything that causes us to take shelter of Krishna is favorable. And anything that makes us forget Krishna is unfavorable. So if a calamity can cause a devotee to remember Krishna, to take shelter of Krishna, a calamity is favorable. It is not something to be fearful of. If it drives us to the lotus feet of Krishna, we must welcome calamities. Of course, nobody likes calamities. We generally pray for favorable circumstances to worship Krishna and we hope for that. But the nature of this world is padam padam yat vipadam natesha. In this very verse, Srila Prabhupada has touched upon that point. One who has taken shelter of the lotus, one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are accepted as the most suitable boat for crossing the ocean of Vishayakas, can achieve liberation as easily as one leaps over the holes made by the hoofs of a calf. Such persons are meant to reside in the abode of the Lord, and they have nothing to do with a place where there is danger in every step. That is the nature of this material world. It is filled with dangers. There's all kinds of suffering. We have discussed this in Bhagavatam classes before. There are 3 kinds of distresses. The distress caused by our own bodies, Adhyatmic, Adi-Bhautik, the troubles caused for us by other living entities, and Adi-Devic, natural calamities such as earthquakes, floods, fires. So these 3 are always a character characteristic of life in this material world. There will always be trouble, either from our bodies or from other living entities or by natural calamities. Which is why the Bhagavatam says this material world, there is danger in every step. So a calamity is never far from anybody's life, whether one is a devotee or one is living in complete forgetfulness of Krishna. But when calamities come, if they help us remember Krishna, it is not something to be fearful of. Whatever can help us remember Krishna, that is favorable. It is why Maharani Kunti, the mother of the Pandavas, is praying, let these calamities come again and again. Because when these calamities come, Krishna, you will be there to protect us. And seeing you means no longer seeing repeated birth and death. We read in the Mahabharata, the Pandavas were subject to so many attempts on their life. And it was by the careful arrangement of their uncle Vidura and the personality of God Krishna, who was their cousin, that they were protected. So throughout all these dangers, the Lord was personally protecting them. So Mother Kunti is praying, let these calamities come. So then you will be there to protect us. And when we see you, we will no longer see repeated birth and death. In the mornings, when the curtain opens, or in the evenings, we come before the Lord to see the beautiful form of the Lord, to have His merciful glance fall upon us and receive His mercy. The Srila Rupa Goswami has stated, if you are too attached to the things of this world, if you are too attached to sense gratification, then do not try to see Krishna. Because if you see Krishna, you will begin to lose all your attachments to the things of this world. So to see Krishna means to become attached to Him. And to become attached to Krishna means no more birth and death. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, Yamyatvapi smaran bhavam tyajati ante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sadata bhava bhavita. Whatever state of consciousness we are in at the time of death, that state we will attain. Antakala chavameva smarantva kalevaram. If at the time of death we are able to remember Krishna, then Krishna guarantees such a person will return back to my eternal abode. So, the goal of life is to live in such a way that we can attract the mercy of the Lord. Srila Saraswati Thakur, the spiritual master of ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, he said, do not ask how I can see God. Where is Krishna? How can I see Krishna? But act in such a way, live your life in such a way that Krishna wants to see you. And Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktyamam vichayati. Only by the process of bhakti can I be understood. So when we engage our mind, thought, our words and our actions in Krishna's service for His pleasure, then we attract the mercy of the Lord. Atah bhumi tujashreshta varnashrama vibhagasa swanishtitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritosha. We were discussing this just yesterday on the occasion of Ajay's birthday, that human life finds its perfection when we engage ourselves for the pleasure of Sri Hari. When we work for Krishna's pleasure, the entire universe becomes satisfied. Why? Because every living entity is eternally the fragmented parts and parcels of Krishna. We are part and parcel of Krishna. So when Krishna is pleased, automatically we are pleased. In this world, people work very hard to satisfy their senses. And the satisfaction and the fulfillment that is achieved by these efforts is very limited and very much constrained by the effects of time. It does not last very long. So again and again and again, we expend so much energy just trying to find satisfaction in materialistic activities. But if we simply worked for Krishna's pleasure, very quickly we will find lasting joy and fulfillment. Because when Krishna is pleased, everybody is automatically pleased. Jai Shri Shri Radha Kunja Bihari. Srila Prabhupada says that any effort to gratify our own senses is ultimately frustrated. Because the heart is looking for love. It is an innate nature in all of us. We are looking for the opportunity to love and to be loved. And my spiritual master, he says, things can give pleasure to the senses, but things cannot fulfill the craving of the heart. Only love can fulfill the cravings of the heart. So when we repose our trust, our love in Krishna and experience the reciprocation that comes from Krishna, then we become fully satisfied. So the Shrimadbhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, these great scriptures, they are teaching us how to do that. Srila Prabhupada mainly recommended four different scriptures: the Bhagavad Gita, Shrimadbhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the Nectar of Devotion. Now we can read other scriptures as an embellishment to help us understand the concepts present in these four scriptures. But these four scriptures alone are enough to help us achieve the ultimate perfection of human life. So when there is distress, and distress comes in all kinds of varieties. Sometimes even amongst interactions with our fellow human being, sometimes there may be disagreements, there may be quarrels, and none of this is a pleasant experience. But we must understand that ultimately, if we wish to make spiritual progress on the path of bhakti, we must be determined to work for Krishna's pleasure. When there are disagreements and quarrels, and if it disturbs our mind, then we should understand that this is not an effort to please Krishna, this is simply an effort to please my own false pride and false ego. So, Lord Chaitanya has recommended the perfect demeanor with which we can constantly remember Krishna and chant His holy names. Trinadapi sunichena tanorapi saishnama amanina manadina kirtaniya sadahari. We must become more humble than a blade of grass. We must be more tolerant than a tree, willing to give respect to everyone, but not expect respect in return. If we develop these qualities, then nothing will disturb us. Then we can constantly be engaged in remembering Krishna and chanting His holy names. So we must regularly hear classes on the subjects of Bhagavad Gita, Shrimadbhagavatam. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said Shrimata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayanta Stohi Amagrani Vidunoti Suratsata. That by regularly hearing Shrimadbhagavatam, all the contamination of the heart, Krishna personally removes. But to hear, we need to develop ruchi, a taste. Unless we have a taste for something, how can we do that on a regular basis? The Shrimadbhagavatam provides a solution. Shushrusha Shandhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi. So that to develop an attraction for Harikatha, the glories of the Lord, one must simply engage in serving the great souls. When we engage in service to those who have surrendered their lives for the service of the Lord, we very quickly achieve a taste for hearing Harikatha. And then as we hear Harikatha, all of the contamination of the heart and the consciousness is removed, and then we truly begin to experience the joy of bhakti, devotional service to Krishna. So it's our hope that we can come together often and discuss these very precious subject matters. Yesterday we spoke briefly about the glories of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of the great acharyas in our line. He was the father and the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was a great visionary who laid the foundation for this Krishna consciousness movement to spread all over the world. So yesterday was his appearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. By profession he was a magistrate during the British rule in India, highly respected for his efficiency and work, and worshipped by the rest of the world for his devotion to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even as a magistrate, he was constantly meditating on how to serve the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So he wanted to go to Vrindavan and just perform bhajan there for the rest of his life. But one night Lord Chaitanya appeared in his dreams and he said, "You can go to Vrindavan, that's all right, but I have a mission for you. What are you going to do about that?" So when he woke up, he started meditating on how he could best serve this mission. So then he applied for a transfer to a city called Krishnanagar that was close to Navadvip, from where he could make visits often in Navadvip. So one night he was sitting on this terrace of a dharamshala called Rani Dharamshala, and in the distance suddenly he could see a large mansion filled with dazzling light. And he happened to be sitting with one of his sons, Kamal Prasad, and a clerk who used to work with him. So immediately he turned to Kamal Prasad and he asked, "Do you see that?" And his son could see the light too. And then he asked the clerk, "Do you see that?" And he could not see it. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur immediately understood there was something very significant in that place. So then he started visiting that area, and in that area there used to be the ruins of an old fort. So he started inquiring about the locals. Then he pulled up some old maps and started looking into those maps, and he realized that was actually in Mayapur. And then using the scriptures such as Bhakti Ratnakar and putting together the information from maps, he concluded this must be the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. Now, he was a grihastha, a householder, a man of the law, a magistrate, Now, who would take his word? So in order to confirm, he decided to bring Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, a very pure, exalted devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Now, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was over 100 years old at that time, and he could barely even walk. So he was carried around in a small basket. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he arranged for someone to carry Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj on a basket to the place of Lord Chaitanya's birth. And as soon as Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was brought there, he leapt out of the basket and he said, yes, this is it, this is it, this is the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. So that was a confirmation that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was looking for. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he made so many numerous contributions to this world. The most significant of which is discovering the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. By His grace today, millions of people are able to travel there and receive the mercy of the personality of Godhead. He made so many contributions to the world of bhakti that he was called the seventh Goswami. So there are 6 prominent Goswamis in our Sampradaya, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is known as the 7th Goswami. Such was his contribution to this world. So yesterday was a very, very holy day for all followers of Lord Chaitanya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is known as the embodiment of Lord Chaitanya's potency. But he was highly empowered to carry out the mission of Lord Chaitanya in this world. And he laid the foundation upon which Srila Saraswati Thakur, his son, later built upon, following which Srila Prabhupada was sent to the Western world to establish this mission in the Western countries. And by their grace, today we are sitting here thousands of miles away from the holy land of India, discussing Shrimadbhagavatam. If not for the mercy of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, none of this may have even manifested. Srila Prabhupada himself in a conversation once said that if Bhaktivinoda Thakur had desired, he could have accomplished this mission himself. But he has left it for us. That is his mercy upon us, Srila Prabhupada said. So we are grateful to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We owe him a life of gratitude for what he has done for this whole world. And by his grace today, all over the world, people worship Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow this process of bhakti. And we are some of the beneficiaries of his contributions to this world. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
So, which yesterday, 2 days ago, calamities. Just like how you said, embrace them. Don't take them as to question Krishna when they happen to you. Accept them. I utilize calamities, I utilize negativity as energy to drive me to go forward, stay positive, and don't look back at the negativity. Even with my own mother, she brings calamity. So, like, we have occupations. My occupation, gig driver, Uber. So, I had to pick up a package and nobody went up there. Person came out with a backpack. Put it in my car. I thought it was a regular ride for a person. He didn't know it was a package. So I looked at my phone on the app. I said, okay. I had to bring the package from nobody to Indian Village right down the street on East Jefferson. on burners. Get the package. I've noticed that the person's house it is one of the people, because I'm, politics and chief of staff, is the lady who beat the person that I was chief of staff for, and not another. To make a long story short, 30 minutes later, probably, everybody's blowing my phone up. You going viral. I said, viral? Instagram, Facebook. The person, the female, the daughter of the candidate, posted saying that I stole her package with shoes, shirt. So my friend said, what's going on? Another one my friend called, he knows the actual female. I said, tell her, call me. She called. I said, why did you call? You pull up my profile. Uber didn't send me no notification. I said, well, you didn't even contact Uber, let Uber know. So, to make a long story short, the way I handled it, peace, humility, didn't get no temper. Most people in today's society, the superficial world, they latch on to the negativity. Positivity, when they want to like, share. Negativity, everybody, ha 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 ha, look at him. He talking about he's spiritual. Oh, he's talking about he's going to school for law. How he going to do all that? Quick, in my own mama, send me a text message, WTH, with the photo on Instagram. So I had to explain to everybody. So I had the girl, finally, I talked to her. I said, isn't Renata Miller your mother? She said, yes. I said, your mother wanted to hire me to be her chief of staff. I was already working with somebody else. I said, your mother also tore her whole knee out and disfigured her leg. I'm a personal trainer as well. I told your mama I could teach her how to rehab her knee and remove all the bad scar tissue in her leg. She said, you really do know my mama. He said, I'm so sorry. I'll take everything down for you. So, like she said, embrace the calamity. Don't turn, it's so easy to turn to the negativity and get, as we say, in our body, in our flesh, and acknowledge and let that rule our emotions. So when you were speaking on what you were speaking, I forgot, the other teacher yesterday was on the same topic. So yesterday, probably, from the same topic, somebody called me and said, man, what's they saying that you are a child pedophile? They didn't want for me taking an Uber package, not I sexually assault kids. I love kids. I'm a big kid. So once again, another calamity. So two calamities out of one subject from somebody else's mistake. So like you just said, everything you were saying, I was just listening like, wow. So, and that's personal. As I continue to grow, learn, I'll embrace the calamity. I'll embrace the negativity. Like you said, bring it, come. The more calamity from whatever aspects of life, I embrace it. Just like with Prabhu told me something about what I did in the kitchen. At first, like, no. Next day, I said, Prabhu, thought about it. You were right. I don't want negativity, I want positivity. That's who I am. And I appreciate your teachings.
Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing. Of course, we must remember that Mother Kunti is not an ordinary devotee. She's a Mahabhagavata, a pure devotee of Krishna. And Krishna reciprocates according to our advancement. We can stand before Kunjabihari and pray, please send calamities into my life. He will, if he knows that it will bring us closer to him. But some people in the face of calamity, they lose faith in God. We see many people, they blame God for calamities. So if it has the effect of chasing somebody away from God, then calamities cannot be such a good thing for them. So we don't imitate Mother Kunti, we don't pray for calamities unless we are on the same platform devotion as she is, and she is not an ordinary devotee of Krishna, she is a pure devotee of Krishna. But it's the nature of this world, calamities will come whether we pray for it or not. So when there is such difficulties in our life, we must simply understand it is the nature of this world. There is nobody who is not suffering. Every living entity is suffering in one way or another. It is simply inevitable. And even if somebody in the human species manages to stay healthy all their life, eventually they have to get old and suffer from diseases and die. So there is no alternative. There is no way out of suffering except to take shelter of Krishna.
Yeah.
As long as we are in these material bodies, there must be suffering. But if we can understand how this world works, if we can understand the goal of human life and how to achieve it, then these difficulties can only serve to help us accelerate our surrender to Krishna. And ultimately that is the solution. Brahma bhuvanam loka punaravartina vijana mam upete tu kaunte punam janma navidite. From the highest planet of Lord Brahma down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, he never has to return to this material world. This is Krishna's verdict in the Bhagavad Gita. No matter what species you may be in the body of a demigod in the heavenly planets, and yet there is misery there as well. And there is death. Even in the highest planet of Lord Brahma. So, as Prabhupada has advised, by taking shelter of Krishna, we can cross over this otherwise insurmountable. This material ocean is so vast, we cannot by our own efforts cross it. But one who takes shelter of Krishna, this entire ocean appears as little as the water contained in the hoof print of a calf, not even a cow, a little calf. How difficult is it to cross that water? So one who takes shelter of Krishna can easily cross over this material ocean. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
That's why